It is one of those times for me to make last minute dinners. I forgot to defrost any kind of meat, and I didn't really think out dinner today, so I thought I'd bring you guys along. I'm gonna flip the camera and show you guys what I'm making right now. I'm just making some rice because I'm gonna make some mole enchiladas. And I'm making enchiladas because it doesn't quite require for me to defrost anything, number one, plus I have excess tortillas. So I'll show you that in just a moment. In the pot right now, I have 3 cups of jasmine with a little bit of oil. I'm just gonna let this fry for a little while, maybe a good 15 minutes. It's gonna get sticky initially or in a little while, but we want it to toast a little bit and loosen up quite a bit, and then I'll add some boiling water to this to cook it. So I will show that to you once we get to that point. I'm going to continue stirring that. I don't want to leave it alone because I do not want it to burn. Over here I have some chili pods. So I pulled out these chiles. I think these are chiles guajillos. I'm pretty sure they are because that's what I normally carry in my home. So I put maybe 6 to 8 of them. A couple of them are a little bit larger, and there's a couple that are just a little bit tinier. So 6 to 8 of them. This time around I also added 1 stick of cinnamon. And then once that boils and softens up quite a bit, I'm going to, and I'll show that to you in just a moment. But I have leftover pumpkin seeds, so I figured I would add that into the mole. So for the mole, I also need chocolate. And right now I have the Ibarra chocolate. I like this one because it has a little bit of sweetness, but a little bit of bitterness as well to it. And I think it just balances out really well with the chiles. If I need any more sweetness, I'll just add a little bit of sugar to it. And then, this is one of the reasons why I'm making enchiladas. I have a crap ton of tortillas. I normally don't get a pack this large, but they didn't have a smaller one at the store. I don't know why. And then I have cheese here, and we'll need that for the enchiladas. My kids don't like the mole sauce, so for them I'll just kind of semi-fry the tortilla and roll it over with the cheese. I'll show that to you guys once we get to it. But my husband and I enjoy the mole quite a bit. And I'm pretty simple with my mole. I do it the lazy way. I don't do anything too complicated to it. On top of the moles, I like adding some pickled onions. So I'm going to start prepping this now. I sliced just regular Spanish onions. So this kind of onion here. And let's see, this half here, I only did maybe, I don't know, what is this? Maybe less than half a cup or so, 1/3 of a cup or so. Thinly sliced onions. And then I'm going to grab some oregano. This is the Mexican oregano. And just crush it into all of the onions here. I'm then going to add just a dash of salt and a little bit of sugar. And I have a couple of limes here, and I'm just going to squeeze that right on into it. And I'm going to let it sit for a little bit. So I'm going to stir that and let it sit for a little while so it can do its thing. And this is going to be kind of like our garnish over top of the enchiladas. And I'm just going to mix that in with my hands here and set that to the side. I am just putting the chiles on the stove, and I'm just going to let this get maybe past the simmer. I don't need it to get to a full boil, but I do need this liquid to get pretty hot because that's going to soften up these chili pods. And then I'm just going to let it rest for just a little bit because I do want it, I want it to parboil, I guess you can say, because I wanted to get a lot of the cinnamon flavor into all of this liquid here. Coming back to the rice, I don't know if you can see, it kind of clumps up in certain areas. We need this to be completely loose and slightly toasted before we add the boiling water. So you see how certain parts are sticking to each other? We don't want that. So I'm going to keep stirring the rice, and then I'll come back to pour in the boiling water. Our rice is nice and loose. Okay, so I have my boiling water here, and I fill it up to the max line. I like adding maybe as long as, let's see here. Let's fill that up, sorry. As long as maybe about this much of my thumb. I use that part as my measurement. As long as it's above about that amount over top of the rice, I'm good. I've had this, by the way, on medium the entire time. So I'm just gonna add, this is a teaspoon here. 1, 2, maybe 3. I don't want to add a ton, only because I don't want this rice to overpower the enchiladas. And then I'm adding 1 little teaspoon of Knorr Suiza right here. So the caldo de sabor de pollo, chicken bouillon. I only add a little bit of that, again, because I don't want it to overpower the enchiladas, but I do want to add a little bit of flavor to the rice. And I'll come back and show you guys what I do with this next. I do let it sit at medium and let it boil, let the water reduce quite a bit before I lower the fire and cover this up. This right here are my chiles, and it smells delicious. So I've had this on medium the entire time. It's now boiling. I'm turning that off, and I'm going to let this sit for maybe a good, I don't know, 5 minutes. It smells so good with the chiles and the cinnamon. It just smells really delicious. I love mole. This is probably not the traditional way to make it. I'm not Mexican. I just kind of wing things. I learned from my friends. I learned from my friends' moms. I learned from my husband's side of the family. I learned tips and tricks from them. And then I wing it myself. And every time that I've made mole, I really enjoyed it. I've actually been asked to make casserole to take to gatherings and stuff. For them to take the mole. I don't know why, because I think mine is so basic, but I like keeping, when it comes to ingredients, I keep it very simple because I really like the chiles to come through and I like the chocolate to come through. And that's like key for me. So, okay, I'll come back when I'm ready to do any extra things. I'm going to let this little rice do its thing. Just pull that little guy out of the pot, and then I'll come back and then I'll share with you guys what we're going to do next. Our water is pretty much evaporated, so let's show you guys what that looks like. So I'm going to cover this up, and then I'm going to put this on low, and this is going to sit for maybe another 10 minutes or so, and then the rice should be done. I let the chiles steep for a little while, and I'm just going to pour them into my blender. I'm not going to add the water just yet because I don't want this lid to pop completely off, so I'm going to slowly add the boiling water into the blending chiles, and then we're going to put this into a pot to simmer for a little while, and that's when we're going to add the chocolate into it. It's so good. It smells delicious. Okay, I paused it for a moment because I'm going to scrape down the sides. I don't want super chunky pieces. I am gonna strain this just a little bit just to get the seeds out. That didn't blend so well. I didn't put a lot of seeds, by the way. When it boils, a lot of the seeds do kind of come out of the pods, but I just want to make sure that I get this as smooth as possible before I put it through a colander. So okay, and then I added about maybe 1/4 cup of the liquid that this boiled in. So we're just gonna blend it once again. I'm using the same pot that I boiled this into. I just transferred the liquid into another container, and now just gonna pour this right into this. as much as I can get out. And I forgot to grab a spoon, damn it. Okay. I'm making much less than I usually do. Oh, by the way, I added 2 more pods in, before it started boiling because I want a little bit of extra chile, maybe leftover for tomorrow or something. No! Espérate. This is so hard to do one-handed. Okay, let's place it that way. I think that's as best as I can get it. And I'm just going to keep stirring this to get all of this. You see all that chunkiness? We don't want that. We want our sauce to be smooth. And it's going to be super delicious. Chile is now on the stove. I put this on low. I just put this on here. And then I'm going to grab my Ibarra chocolate. I'm going to start with 1. And then I'll see how I feel. I always do al tanteo and how I'm feeling that day. And if I want a little bit more chocolate, then I add a little bit more chocolate. I may add maybe half a bar of this. And I put it on low because I want this to slowly start melting into it. And this sauce is going to darken in color. It's going to be super delicious. So I'm just going to let it sit for a little while because I need that to soften. And then we're going to start stirring. And then I'm going to use one of these to really break it up as best as I can. But that's once it's softened quite a bit. And then we're coming into our rice. And this is done. So it's been about 10 minutes or so. Let's just grab just a little bit. It's super hot. It's perfect. And it doesn't have too much salt, and it doesn't have too much of the Knorr Suiza, which is great. Would I be pairing this up with a different dish? A little bit more savory, because this is sweet and savory. I don't want this to have too much salt or too much going on in it. I do want it to have a little seasoning in it, but not too much, because I don't want it to, again, overpower the mole. So, all right, I'll come back once this has softened a little bit more. Okay, I'm back because this is softening so much. You see this? You want to keep stirring this. You do not want to leave this alone because the chocolate can sometimes stick to the bottom and then it'll be burned, and you don't want that. That's going to taste a little bitter, and it's just not, it's not going to be really good. You see how much it darkened? Let's try this out a little bit. And then I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt. A little bit at a time. Let that dissolve a little bit. I didn't even need to use this guy, which is great. But then again, I've never used this pot to make the mole, so I think this one holds the heat pretty well. Okay. All right, different finger. That's really good. If I was to make this again, I would probably add maybe 3 or 4 more of the chili pods, to be honest. I want a little bit more of that chile, but that's okay. All right, I wanted a little bit more chocolate, but not as much of the sweetness. So I pulled out some cacao powder, and this I purchased at Trader Joe's. So you get the cacao flavor, the chocolate, but you don't get any of the sweetness. So now I'm going to put this guy to the side and stir this. Just make sure this doesn't burn. And I'm also going to add just a little bit of the liquid that we had left over, because we want it to be thick, but we don't want it to be too thick. So I think I added maybe 1/4 cup. Okay. Look at that color. That's really good. You guys will have to let me know how you guys make your mole. See that? Oh yeah. Yep, that's what it needed. It just needed a little bit more chocolate, but not as much of the sweetness. That's a really nice balance. I can taste the chile. I can taste a little bit of the sweetness from the Ibarra chocolate bar, a little bit of the bitterness from the cacao powder, and I get a hint of the cinnamon. It's super good. I'm actually going to turn this off now, and I'm just gonna let this cinnamon stick sit in here for a little while. Okay, and then we're ready to make our enchiladas. Okay, I have a pot here with a little bit of oil. I don't need too much. And then I'm just picking up a little bit of the chocolate in here. I just need this to warm up. I don't need it to get to a boil, so I do have the fire on low. And I'm just gonna start moving it around. And then I'm gonna grab my tortilla, turn it around. And I need the tortilla just to get a little bit soft so that I can fold it over. Now I'm grabbing mozzarella. You can do jack as well. I like the mozzarella because it's pretty mild, so it doesn't compete with any of the other flavors. And now, see, our tortilla is a little bit, just a little bit soft. We gotta be gentle with this. And now I'm just gonna add just a little bit more, and I'm gonna move this one to the side and just let the cheese melt a little bit. And then I'm gonna add a little bit more of the chile and just a dash of the oil. And again, set it down. I'm gonna raise the heat a little bit here. And then I'm going to flip my tortilla over again. See how it's becoming more pliable? What I'm actually going to do is add a little bit more of the chile here. And then lay my tortilla down again. My kid is helping me because I was not going to be able to do this with just one hand. There's just no way. So thanks, chicken.
No problem.
No problem. Okay, so I'm just folding the tortilla over. And then I'm going to push it down here very gently and flip it again. And then I'm going to grab just a little bit of that mole and just make sure to coat. Between, maybe you can do a few of these, and sometimes the chocolate starts kind of burning down. You don't want to make enchiladas over top of that, because then it just doesn't taste as good. So I like to clean the pan and start over with a little bit of oil and then the chocolate once again. Now over here, can you put the camera over here, mamita? Okay. I am going to grab my little enchilada and put it over top of my rice. This guy, just want to make sure that this is melted pretty well. Just pour a little bit more chocolate on it. And now I'm going to add the other one. There you go. Alright, so with this here, you can add a little bit of sour cream. My husband loves it with sour cream, but then again, he loves sour cream on pretty much everything. I just like a little bit. I don't like adding too much of the sour cream. And then over here, we have our little pickled onions. I love pickled onions over top of the enchiladas because I think it balances everything so well. I'm just gonna add a few more because I love the onions. They're so freaking good. And then I think I want more chocolate. That's the hard part. That's why I made a little bit extra, because I love the chocolate so much. I think it's super delicious. And I can have the chocolate just over top of the rice. I'm so bad. Just over top of the rice because it's super tasty. Okay, let's take a bite together. Let's take a bite. Look at that. Where's the camera? So I just got a little bit of the sour cream. I don't want too much of it. I love the chocolate is the star in this dish. Okay, you don't want to cover it up with a bunch of things. Please don't do that. I mean, you could do whatever you want. Everybody's taste buds are different. My mouth is watering. I need to get this in my mouth. It's so delicious. God, I freaking love mole. I actually don't ever make mole, like chicken mole. Ever. Anytime I make mole, it's just to make the enchiladas. Look at the onions. God, that's gonna be a big bite. Hold on. Dude, it has the perfect amount of chocolate. I could have added a couple more chili pots, but this is honestly delicious. I think I'm pretty satisfied with it. So I'm gonna leave the recipe down below. As you all know, I don't usually measure my stuff. I just come on here and share what I make for dinner. Today was a great example because or I thought last minute, let me record what I'm gonna make, because I forgot to defrost anything today. I didn't really plan out dinner today. I just kind of thought only for breakfast and lunch and snacks. And then I got so busy with the kids that I just completely forgot about everything, and then doing housework and stuff like that. And so this, although it does take a little bit of time, it's really, really easy to make in my opinion, and it doesn't take that long. I think the next dish I want to make is chile relleno, because I bought a few chiles. Thinking or planning on doing like an eat with me video, but I don't know how that's gonna happen because I have my children and they're doing distance learning, so I don't know. But look at that. I pretty much eat all the onions. I need more. I love onions. And then because it has the oregano, I'm sorry, I'm making mouth noises. They're a little pickled, the onions, but they still have a bite to them. Well, I guess I'm doing an eat with me video right now, right? Okay, one more bite, and then I'll get off here and just finish my dinner. Yeah, I need more onions. Okay, that was everything, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Cook dinner with me video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I'm gonna leave the recipe down below with all the measurements. So if you guys try it, let me know. And I do hope that if you guys try it, that you guys enjoy it as much as I do. So I will see you guys in, oh God, I'm trying to position my hand. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.